What's the best way to go about disarming one of these things?
The way you don't die, sir.
That's a good one. I've spoken like a wild man.
Award season continues, and that inspired us to take a closer look at another one of the big Oscar movies of recent history for this week's episode. No more setup.
Let's do it.
Here are 7 things you didn't know about The Hurt Locker. Probably. We're coming in hot today and opening with a thing about this explosion. In movies, we're used to seeing gigantic orange plumes of fire when things explode, mostly thanks to Michael Bay. But those types of explosions are created by using a ton of gas. The explosion they created for this scene in The Hurt Locker was more gray and black, and it's more like what the real IED explosions were like in this type of environment. They used a phantom camera to capture the moving mass of air, replicating a real bomb's overpressure. Overpressure is just a wave of air moving so quickly that it not only lifts everything in the area, but also will cause anything that has air in it to expand. You know, like your lungs. So, getting their lungs blown up is a major concern for troops, to say the least. On the other hand, the explosion here is a lot more like the ones we're used to seeing in movies because it's a car. Cars have gas tanks, and gas equals... By the way, Jeremy Renner really did have to put out that car fire himself in the scene. Good thing they didn't give him the fire extinguisher that was full of spring snakes. Also, boom, bonus thing you didn't know. Jeremy Renner putting out that fire may have been real, but you know what wasn't real? All of this garbage. The street where they shot this scene was pretty clean, so the production team actually had to bring in garbage and scatter it in the street. They were trying to replicate the wartime conditions in Baghdad as accurately as they could, and in Baghdad, the sanitation services weren't running. People would burn their trash to get rid of it, so there were garbage fires everywhere, and the trash that didn't get burned was just piled up on the streets. So if you always thought making movies was nothing but glitz and glamour, joke's on you, asshole. Sometimes you're literally directing garbage. We talked explosions and garbage fires, so let's talk guns. Or a gun, at least. Specifically, the pistol that Sergeant James is holding in this scene, because it's not a prop gun. The gun that they'd gotten for this scene didn't make it through customs in time for the day they were filming, so the producers were running around trying to find one the day before the shoot on location in Jordan. Writer and producer Mark Bull went as far as trying to buy a pistol off of someone in a bar. Ultimately, an army general felt bad for them, loaned them a broken pistol to use, and saved their shoot. No pun intended. Or was it? Speaking of real weapons, weapons sort of came with the territory. The Hurt Locker filmed in Jordan, and that meant there was no film equipment available to the crew. The only thing production didn't have to ship in were trucks. All the gear, guns, and special effects explosives had to be brought in. Oh, there were plenty of weapons and explosives in Jordan, but they were all real guns and real C4. In fact, the smoke bomb in this part is also real. Production was able to get it from the Jordanian military. Since the smoke bomb was real, there was a good deal of concern over letting Jeremy Renner handle it. For the unfamiliar, there's a chance of burning yourself pulling the pin. Renner was able to assuage the producer's fears because he let them know that he knew what he was doing. Thing was, that was total crap. He had never actually handled a smoke bomb before, and frankly, why would he have? Luckily, he didn't wind up burning his fingers off, so his lie wound up creating a funny story instead of a horrifying one.
He's a rowdy boy. He's reckless.
You know what else it created? A bonus thing you didn't know. Kathryn Bigelow and the Hurt Locker team were able to film in Amman, Jordan, and it really helped create a more believable Baghdad than Morocco, which is what Hollywood usually uses to fake the Middle East. What you may not have known is they were only able to shoot in the Middle East because they produced the Hurt Locker independently. No studio would have ever let them do it. Furthermore, no studio would have greenlit the movie without a marquee name like Matt Damon or, I don't know, John Malkovich maybe. Point is, studios cast for bankability over performance. Not to say Malkovich won't perform. He always delivers.
Malkovich.
But even with going rogue and doing it on their own, the production had a hard time shooting in Jordan, mainly because Jordan was pretty reluctant to let a film crew shoot there. Obviously, Bigelow got her way in the end, but that wasn't the end of the challenges of filming in Jordan. Segue.
Come on, safe, man. See you on the other side, man. All right. Let's get out of this f***ing desert.
Throughout principal photography, the average temperature was 115 degrees Fahrenheit, which made heat stroke and dehydration constant concerns. They had to have an ambulance on standby at all times. So when you see Guy Pearce sweating here, it's basically method acting.
Nice and hot in here.
Triple-digit temperatures plus an 80-pound Kevlar suit are pretty much guaranteed to get a schwitz going. Like a really good, please help me, I need to go to a hospital type of schwitz.
Specialist, bring up the Humvee.
What's going on?
I'm gonna break out the suit.
Speaking of that 80-pound suit and having to wear it in oppressive heat, Jeremy Renner had it worse than Guy Pearce since he wears it so much more in the film. Typically, they would have swapped in an extra or a body double for Renner for the long shots or any shots where you don't see his face, to spare their principal actor from, well, dying.
Got tools?
Got two.
All right, let's rock and roll, man.
Problem was, they went through some 15 doubles trying to replicate Jeremy Renner's walk and mannerisms in the suit, and no one could do it. So, even in the widest shots, it really is Jeremy Renner in the suit every time we see Sergeant James wearing it. Renner's walk was just too unique, and Kathryn Bigelow knew it would be obvious if someone else was inside. At least that's what she says. It may have also been payback for Renner mouthing off on set. But sure, we'll stick with the oh-so-special walk story. That's it for today, but let us know if watching this episode inspired you to revisit The Hurt Locker, or its lesser-known sequel, The Pleasure Trunk. Okay, it's not so much a sequel as it is some slash fiction I wrote on my live journal. Either way, thanks for watching, and subscribe to Cinefix for more true-ish things about movies and sometimes really, really good schwitzes right here on Things You Didn't Know.
We're done.